Okay, it's me, Debbie David, and I've been doing the media for Christ the Good Shepherd for the last 6 or 7 weeks during this COVID-19 pandemic. And we do a rosary on Friday, and we do the Mass for Sunday. And we've been filming or editing and whatever you call it now, gathering the media on Wednesday nights, and I've been staging it and everything. And so last week was Corpus Christi Sunday, and it was supposed to be our last week. And the church had the new statues that were donated to the church, beautifully hand carved out of one piece of wood, very detailed carving of the Holy Family. And when I first saw it, Monsignor was showing it to us, and we were going to use it as a backdrop for the Rosary introduction. I saw in the little boy Jesus looked like my little brother John J. Crittenden Burks, who died when he was 3.5 years old in 1963, and I was 7.5 years old myself. And so I thought, oh, the little boy Jesus looks like my brother John Jay, and it really touched me. And so, anyway, then later on we used the background of the Holy Family to tape the background for one of the hymns, or the responsorial psalm for the Corpus Christi Mass last Sunday. And I was watching the framing to see how close the top of the frame was to the head of Joseph, and I was wondering if it was too close, so I looked out of the camera monitor at the way the camera was, and so at the end, but then I decided, and I try to do things on the fly sometimes, I want to keep it looking like a continuous Mass, so I continue wherever I can. So I was going, when the priests were leaving on the last hymn, I had them going out. I was going to zoom in on the new Holy Family and let the hymn finish like that. So I did that, and I was looking at the camera monitor, watching my zoom, and I'm panning and tilting the camera towards the Holy Family and zooming in at the same time. And I look up from the monitor of the camera at the little boy Jesus and Joseph and Mary's head to see how much room I had to come out, because I knew at the end I wanted to go right back to the altar to do the postlude. So I looked up from the monitor, and I thought I saw the little boy Jesus smile in real life. But then I look right back at the monitor because I'm getting ready to move the camera. But the thought in my head was a bemused little moment of, oh, wouldn't that be great? That would help the church if that happened. But I also thought, the little boy Jesus that looks like my brother John Jay loves his new home. That was my feeling. Okay, so then you go to 36 hours later. I've been up for 24 hours straight because we had to get the rosary out on Friday, and we did a whole new one with all new pictures, which I have to manipulate each picture and time it to different parts of the rosary, and then put the titles up for the different parts of the rosary and make sure everything's spelled right. So I stayed up all night on Friday night. I had to put in some hours at work, so and then I got it out, and then I had to get the Mass edited. So it's like 36 hours. I've been up all but about 5 hours of that time that I took a little sleep before I had to do a work period. And but I'm finishing up editing, and I get to that last hymn, and I get to that moment, and I've forgotten all about the filming of it or anything. I'm into editing mode now. And I thought I saw the little boy Jesus do that thing again where he smiled. And then I'm looking at it and it looks like I thought singing along at first, but then I thought, no, he's saying a blessing or something. And right at the end, he's like, looks up, and so, you know, I've been up all this time, it was bleary-eyed. I know that's what it is. I know it's not a miracle, but it touched my heart, and it was a little moment. Now, I was hoping somebody would notice it, and I noticed that it cleared up, because when you load it up to Google Drive, which we did, and then we load it from there to Yoohoo, and both times they reprocess your video and they straighten up things and they stabilize it and stuff like that. So it's not noticeable. And in the frame, the boy's face is so small you wouldn't notice it. But I did ask a few people, and you know, the people that love me want me to be able to believe. So they said, Debbie, you know, miracles happen to different people in different ways and stuff like that. So to me, it's a blessing from God. It was a gift. It was a thank you for all my efforts, if nothing else. Now, I don't believe in coincidences. In my universe, there is no coincidence. That is a thing that doesn't exist. But I do believe in happenstance, and so this is a little quirk of light happenstance. Now, I went through a whole big trouble of putting this magnifying glass on a bench. I did a whole scientific experiment. I tried to magnify the image and catch it. So I took this big magnifying, scientific magnifying glass I have that's on a spring loaded and you can mount it on a bench, and I put that in the air between a TV table with my computer monitor on that, about 6 feet away. And then I had, from that I had the camera that I'm shooting this on, telephoto onto the glass in the magnifying glass. And it's called an aerial image. We used to do this experiments with trying to transfer movies to video when I was in Hollywood as a camera operator. And anyway, I was trying to focus on this part of the glass where this little image is magnified of the baby Jesus' face, boy Jesus, but it's like the camera won't lock on. I don't have the right kind of camera anymore. This is autofocus thing. You can't manually focus them. So I couldn't really get it very good. But I got these clips after this long introduction, if you've sat through this, that I'll show you. Now, the first one will be with me just using the camera and trying to focus on the monitor. And then this, but they have different effects, each one. Anyway, this is the moment that I was talking about. You believe whatever you want. To me, it was a wonderful moment. And I think and I believe that the boy Jesus image loves its new home, and as a representation of Jesus in reality, and that Jesus approves of the church and what we're doing there. And I really believe that now. So here it is, my little video. Thank you. Okay, now this is the part of the Mass that I'm talking about. So if you watch the Corpus Christi Mass for Christ the Good Shepherd in Berkeley, Michigan's video on their YouTube channel, Christ the Good Shepherd YouTube channel, and you watch the Corpus Christi from June the 14th,
Mass, you'll see them leave during the last hymn, and I focus in on this statue of the Holy Family. And it takes me a minute to settle onto them there. And then I get the camera settled. And then I notice the little boy's Jesus' mouth looks like it's moving. And so I watch it over and over, and then I finish editing and put all the titles to everything, and I put it out. I told the priest and everything that I thought I saw something. And I told a few people. When I first saw it, I screamed out. I was on headphones, and Ruby and Anthony, so they're watching TV in the same room with me, but I'm in another world watching it on it. Anyway, this is right, and right here at the end of before I zoom the camera away, he gets really animated talking, if you look at it. And then it's over. That's the end of where you see the Holy Family, and the video goes into the postlude. So that's it for the voiceover. This is all of it for that you see where the Holy Family, where I thought the little boy Jesus was saying something. Just that little section. Now that's the original. What you would see if you watch the video. Okay, in this second clip, the priests are moving over. I'm getting ready to zoom in on the thing. Now I'm shooting through a magnifying glass, which is like 6 feet away from the monitor. And that's the edge of the magnifying glass you can see there in the upper left-hand corner. And I'm trying to get the camera autofocus infrared to focus on that piece of glass on the magnifying, so you can see. And I have to move micro inches back and forth on the glass, move the magnifying glass. That's me moving the magnifying glass when it moves to try to get it to focus, and then it focuses there. Now if you watch when it's in focus, you can see the little boy Jesus' mouth. It looks like it's moving, like he's saying a blessing. And right at the end of the thing, right here, just before I pull away, he really gets animated. Now in this clip, the priests are walking away, and they are going in front of the Holy Family. I'm zooming in on the little boy Jesus. Now I'm zooming in on the magnifying glass with the camera now to see this, and you can see his mouth moving. I'm trying to hold it in focus on the glass. It's hard for me to do it. It's almost impossible. I have to micro move the glass back and forth. But this is what I'm talking about. It looks like he's talking. And right at the end, just before I pull the camera away, he gets very animated, and his eyes dance about, and he seems to look up at the camera. And that's why I say he's blessing our church and what we're doing there. And he loves his new home. This is my feeling about this little section of the Mass. Okay, this is another setup where you can actually see I've got it focused enough where you can see the lines of the monitor, of the Apple monitor magnified. But I'm still trying to focus on the glass. And it doesn't hold exactly, and yeah, I know, but it's showing you what I saw that night that made me think what I thought. So that's all, and you can believe what you want, but to me, right here at the end, where he looks up at the camera and his mouth really gets animated, right there, and his eyes move around, just before I pull the camera away, it's just such a precious moment. And here's another setup where I'm focused in on it, and where I can hold the focus on the glass long enough to where you can see it, what I'm talking about. And right at the end, if you look at it, his eyes only, you'll see them like they're looking down the ground, but then he glances up right at the end. And that's the when I screamed out in the room, oh my goodness. And Ruby and Anthony, who were there watching TV, and I'm on headphones in another world, right, sitting in the same room. They come over, and what's happening? And I show it to them, and of course, you know, they're saying, well, yeah, Debbie, I see what you're talking about. And then Ruby is telling me, oh, it's a camera pixelation, or there was a, you know, the lighting in the room, or somebody was casting a shadow. And I said, yeah, I know, it's not a miracle really, but it sure is a nice little blessing and a little quirky thing that happened, and I'm going to take it as a blessing from God, and you can do what you want. But if you think it's really baby Jesus, then maybe you ought to donate some money to our church. We could sure use it after this COVID virus, and we haven't had any congregation all this time. And there's a little Jesus giving his final blessing. This is the last clip I'm going to show. So, I love you all. Stay safe. And that's my clip for the talking baby Jesus. One of about 60 or 70 attempts I tried to get. As you can see, it in focus long enough. All right, more later, and see you at church on Sunday, hopefully. Bye.